I say Nigeria is dying. The soul of this country is dying, is bleeding and dying gradually because the leadership of the country is not appearing to be too committed to vision, too committed to their mission as they have promised the electorate, particularly on issues concerning security. Look, every leader must be totally committed to the cause, to the peace of his country. You will recall that Christians here in Nigeria, we are crying over the Christian genocide. And then the government rather was alleged to have financed or paid money to a firm in America to launder its name against Christian genocide. Whereas they should have used the same money in dollars to translate it into the security and peace of his people. So when you see leaders not having the genuine commitment towards the peace, towards the security of his nation, of course, don't forget that is the preoccupation of leaders in government. So when you see that they do not have such level of will, political will towards the peace of the country, you will immediately assume that the country is dying, the country is bleeding to death. These are the things why I said Nigeria is dying gradually.
So, in your own view, what do you think is failing in the security system?
Well, let me just tell you, before we talk about the security personnel and all that, we should understand one basic fact, that the security personnel, whether the army, whether the police, whether the navy or the air force, even the paramilitary, they are all human beings and they also have families. We should be able, if you look at the scenario, if you look at the statements of the terrorists, and you look at what is really happening, you will notice that the terrorists have more sophisticated weapons than what our military personnel are carrying. If you also look at the concern being shown to the military personnel, to me, it's not really encouraging. I feel for our military personnel, they are not being encouraged. Morally, they are not encouraged. Professionally, they are not properly encouraged. Now, let me give this example of Brigadier General Musa, who went on an official assignment to protect this nation. You will recall that there was a time Brigadier General Musa called for assistance, which is normal in every situation such as that. But assistance didn't come to him immediately. And then he was arrested. I do not know who would have shown the terrorists where he was calling for reinforcement or assistance. But they got him, put him in public view. Brigadier General Musa is no more. Now, he has a family. It grieves my heart that that man could just die. Until today, there is no action to show anger on the part of the leadership. You recall that America has similar situation where a colonel aircraft was bombed, and then he was lucky to have flown out of the aircraft before it was crashed, and then America had to use 100 and something highly equipped aircraft Don't forget, each aircraft is being driven or flown by personnel. So you can times the number of personnel in each aircraft you can multiply it against the number of aircraft. So you can imagine the number of personnel that went to risk their life for one man, for one officer. This act alone can encourage any country personnel, military personnel. And the one that happened to Brigadier General Musa could also discourage. I think it could discourage any personnel. So, morally speaking, professionally speaking, technically speaking, our military personnel are not being encouraged at all.
Now, critics often argue that the church should remain apolitical. Why is PFN now taking such an active political stance?
We are not political. I have said it times without number, we are not partisan. We are only mobilizing our people to go out and vote. We have seen, particularly in River State, the high level of disdain on the part of politicians. The high level of hunger, starvation, being suffered by the people who are mostly members of the church. And so we cannot be sitting to look at our people dying in hunger, dying being treated unjustly. And so what we need to do, we checked that the Constitution of Nigeria did not stop pastors and members of the churches from going to vote. After all, INEC has been calling on people to go and register. So what we are doing is also to support INEC. Go and get your voter's card. At the appropriate time, you will go and vote. But we as a church said to ourselves, as leaders said to ourselves, that it's important that we would invite these various candidates. We have set up DPG, Directorate of Politics and Good Governance. Don't forget that it is politics and good governance. That means after the electioneering process, we will also be interested on good governance. So we have inaugurated from the various wards and various LGAs, not partisan. Anybody can register any political party. But when the primaries are over, we shall invite the candidates to come and address our leaders and our members. And then we will have some issues to look at. One, their character. Character in terms of respect for the poor, composure, compassion, and discipline. What they have for rule of law, all is in character. Number two, we will listen, we ask questions on competence. Competence regarding their past performances, previous performances, when they had previous positions. Competence concerning regarding good education, sufficient to manage a complex society. Competence concerning effective management of human and natural resources. That's the second thing we are going to look at. The third thing is their capacity. Capacity, that's the ability to envision transformation. Their capacity. Capacity in terms of good health, sound mind to lead the people. The other fourth one is their policy. Policies concerning state police, policies concerning religious neutrality, policies concerning enforcement of fundamental rights of Nigerians, policies concerning equitable and enforceable sharing of resources and executive positions and all that. So these are the things we look at, and then we, the leaders, will sit and then tell our leaders, having listened to these policies, character and capacity, we are convinced that the church, I'm talking about the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria this time around, would direct its members that this person, no matter the political party, is suitable for the thing we are thinking about to lead River State. This is our vision. So it is not partisan. It is the fact that we are concerned about what is happening in River State. It's also the fact that we want River State to be developed. We have suffered a lot, state of emergency, political crisis, and all that. The Bible says, don't forget, righteousness exalted a nation. But sin is a reproach. So for you to exalt a state like River State or a nation like Nigeria, you need to have righteous people. Those who have right standing in capacity, right standing in competence, right standing in character, right standing in policy. These are the things we are looking at. Don't forget again that Bible says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So it is the people that you use to know whether there's a right leadership or a wrong leadership. So we are just fighting for the enthronement of righteousness in River State. That's what we are struggling to do. You've not done that. We are still expecting INEC to tell the populace what they have done to improve on the equipments, IREP and portals that failed in the last election, that could not transmit effectively. Now, Electoral Act of 2026 as amended has included transmission of result electronically, which was not there before now, and which gave powers to INEC to say their server failed and then they had to do manual result and all that. The INEC, in answering your question, should remember that things are not business as usual. The laws have changed. You must transmit this result electronically with a caveat that where network fails, it should be done manually. It is for INEC to prove that network failed in those units where they will say it failed. And for those who contest the election to prove to them that there was network. You can't come up to say there was no network when somebody can prove to you technically that there was network. So they should be very careful. My advice to INEC, it can never be as usual. Talking about the judiciary. Judiciary without internal affairs of the political parties, without proper proper management of the internal affairs of political parties, we may not have a proper general election. For judiciary to be interfering contrary to Section 83 of the Electoral Act, as amended 2026, and contrary to Supreme Court ruling and judgment, barring the courts from interfering in the internal affairs of political parties, the judiciary should please. They are being seen as the hope of the common man. But today, I doubt if the common man will still see the judiciary as the hope of the common man. I am talking in terms of the bench and the bar. Let there be proper reorientation. I want to thank the NBA for taking good decisions concerning all these matters. Judiciary should please remember that Nigeria is bleeding because of interference, undue interference of internal affairs of political party. So I will advise, and we are praying seriously that God should touch the hearts of officers in the judiciary to sit in the light of the peace and progress of Nigeria.